We are all connected to each other and to this planet. We all have similar hopes and dreams. We are made up of many cultures. We also have a relationship with the world. An ancient land of sacred mountains, forests, and seas. This is the old Japan. This is the new Japan. With its modern cities, high-speed trains, robots, and all the things we know and love. How did it go from this to this? What makes it today a country that creates the cool, keeps the traditional, while reinventing the future?
I'm from Tokyo, and I've been here for 4 years. I came here for university and fell in love with the mountains and the ocean.
I'm a Canadian living here in Japan. I've been here for 13 years now, and I just absolutely fell in love with the country, the culture, and the people.
Japan is made up of over 3,000 islands, with 4 main ones: Honshu, Shikoku, Kyushu, and Hokkaido. Japan is a country which experiences 4 seasons similar to Canada, with very tropical climates in its southernmost islands. The closest countries to the west are Korea, China, and Russia.
Japan's population of 127 million is spread throughout the country in 8 distinct regions. Each region in the country has its own distinctive terrain and climate, from the snowy northern plains of Hokkaido to the white sand beaches of Okinawa. Each region also has its own traditional festivals and customs that celebrate ancient rituals. 70% of the country is covered in mountains. The remaining areas have been used for growing food, and people live here too. Unlike Canada, there is a lack of natural resources, so the Japanese have had to be innovative and work hard to survive. Japan's largest city and its capital is Tokyo. With around 38 million people in this wide metropolitan area, this Kanto region has 1/3 of the country's people.
Japan is part of the Ring of Fire, which is a 40,000-kilometer U-shaped area that follows the edges of the Pacific Ocean. Most of the world's active volcanoes are on the Ring of Fire. If you've ever been in a hot spring or an onsen, that means there's volcanic activity below.
Japan is prone to natural disasters, typhoons, earthquakes, and tsunamis. If you have spent any time there, you will know that the people are prepared.
Sometimes, no amount of preparation can make you ready for what's in store. On March 11, 2011, a devastating earthquake and tsunami hit northern Japan. It caused widespread damage, including a major nuclear facility at Fukushima. The Japanese responded with resilience and inner strength.
Japan has now had to rethink its energy sources and discover new ways of generating power. A country prone to natural disasters has been able to share its technology and help other countries to build back after they experience a natural disaster.
In Sendai, there are now individual solar energy systems. Batteries inside and outside the house store energy, which can even provide power to an electric vehicle. Other forms of renewable energy are wind, biomass, and geothermal power.
Because of its geography, Japan will always have to prepare for natural disasters. And building back better is a way of preparedness that Japan can share with the world.
Understanding Japan begins with looking at early culture and history.
Long before the Meiji era started in 1868, Japan had been a country which drew heavily from its natural surroundings to produce objects of beauty and function. Thousands of years ago, the prehistoric Jomon were the first humans to make fired earthenware.
It is also a land of rice culture, which has influenced the collective spirit of the people. Rice was introduced from the continent over 2,000 years ago, and this resulted in permanent settlements with the capital city and an emperor at the throne.
Rice remains at the heart of the cuisine today, and the cultivation of rice is important in Japanese religious rituals and festivals.
Around the 7th century, there was a high period of cultural exchange and influence from the Asian continent. Japan became a court society centered around the imperial couple. A highly refined court society, it is still represented in the Hinamatsuri Dolls' Day festival.
It was during this period over 1,000 years ago that the world's first novel was written by a Japanese court lady, Murasaki Shikibu. The Tale of Genji remains a classic in Japanese literature.
The feudal period saw the rise of the warrior class. Samurai lords jockeyed for power, territory, and influence in their respective regions.
The Edo period, from 1603 to 1867, would be the last era of the samurai. Under the Tokugawa shogunate, two things happened. Edo, which is now Tokyo, became the political center of Japan. And it was also a time of isolation where the Japanese were cut off from foreign trade and influence.
Bushido, the code of the warrior, was developed at this time. The code of the samurai lives on in Budo as a Japanese way of discipline and stoicism. In this period, Ito Jakuchu would create a mosaic technique in his birds and animals in the flower garden, making him the first pixel artist 300 years before his time.
Artists were ranked very highly in the feudal Japan class system. The rise of the merchant class saw the rise of the popular culture of leisure. Kabuki theater and geisha are all imagined in the old woodblock ukiyo-e prints.
In many places in the country, there are still the remains of early Japanese history. The influences on design and art still exist. Today, the United Nations, UNESCO, designates at least 21 heritage sites in Japan that should be preserved for eternity, both natural and cultural.
In Tokyo, elements of this history are everywhere. Right next to the Tokyo Tower made famous in the B-movies like Godzilla vs. Tokyo, the Tokugawa shoguns had their family temple. A bygone era? Perhaps, but one is still present in art and culture in this very modern Japan. The road for Japan becoming a peace-loving nation took a few turns in the late 19th century.
In 1853, Commodore Perry would sail into Tokyo Harbor, symbolizing Japan's opening to the West and a period of extremely rapid modernization.
In 1868, the Meiji Emperor was restored to the throne. The Meiji government would modernize Japan and take the best of what the world had to offer and bring it to Japan.
By 1889, the first modern legislative body was created in Japan called the Diet. The system was like England, with a House of Peers like the Senate and a House of Representatives.
Education would become compulsory. This was also a time of great social and political change. The Meiji government was open to the world and allowed people to emigrate abroad.
It was during this time that Japanese began large-scale emigration to the Americas. In Canada, settlements formed along the west coast around the logging, farming, fishing, and mining industries.
In 1889, a Japanese consulate was set up in Vancouver, and it is the third oldest consular establishment in Western Canada.
Before the era of peace, the early 20th century was marked by world wars where Japan also took part. In the Asia-Pacific, Japan would expand its military forces, leading to an attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, and bringing the United States into the Pacific War.
In Canada, Japanese immigrants and Canadian-born citizens of Japanese descent would be uprooted from the coast and dispersed into internment camps and other areas far from their homes, permanently losing their homes.
For the Japanese, the war ended with the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
The lessons from the past have shaped Japan to be the peace-loving nation that it has been for over 70 years. The country started over in 1947 with a new constitution written within Article 9, renouncing war as means to settle international disputes.
Japan has a similar democratic system of government to Canada. It has a parliament with elected representatives of different political parties.
And just like Canada, the country believes in global trade and strong relationships with its trading partners.
Since World War II, Japan has sought peace with its former wartime enemies, starting with the San Francisco Peace Treaty to other acts of reconciliation.
For over 70 years, Japan has consistently advocated for peace and disarmament at the United Nations and elsewhere. Japan has a great track record in providing development assistance and relief to countries in need, and supports infrastructure building, training people, and helping to set up important institutions in the society. Japan values empowering people and works with countries to tackle important global problems. As a way to empower women in Japan and to assist women in business in other countries, Japan is prioritizing women's empowerment and gender equality. This country is set for moving towards the future.
This is a modern democracy that works to be a global leader and a good neighbor.
Into the future, Japan will continue to play a big role in the peace and stability in the region.
In a symbol of respect to the Meiji Emperor, whose government opened the doors to the world, the Meiji Shrine sits in honor of the spirits of the Emperor and his wife, and is a jewel in the middle of Tokyo, welcoming visitors from all over the world every day. What would we do without the selfie stick, karaoke, emojis, LED lights, laptops, and bullet trains?
This is a nation of innovators. Since the country was first inhabited, the Japanese have had to work hard to adapt to the lack of natural resources.
The word kaizen is a way to continuously improve the efficiency and quality of work. This thinking applies everywhere.
Just look at the miracle growth of post-war Japan.
Industrial innovation started when Japan rose from the ashes in the mid-20th century. Japan's economic miracle meant a lot of manufactured goods were exported everywhere. The strong economy allowed Japan to be the first Asian country to host the modern Olympic Games in 1964. The 1964 Olympics is seen as Japan's rebirth and acceptance by the world. The central theme was Japan as a peaceful people and technology leader. The economy became the second largest in the world in 1968, booming through the 1980s with a crash in the 1990s. And now, Japan is ready for another Olympics with a theme of futurism and unity.
Japan has highly developed robotic systems, and its automation technologies make them one of the global leaders. You can see this at the Miraikan National Museum of Emerging Science and Innovation.
There are ways science uses art. Origami is the art of folding paper. It has been used in technology to develop solar panels and mirrors in space, airbags for cars, and portable folding bridges to be used in disaster relief.
Sometimes art uses science. The field of digital art uses a collaboration between artists and engineers. Team Lab explores a sense of spatial awareness interpreted in pre-modern Japanese art using 2D space, and they are also creating groundbreaking interactive digital environments. Automation and robotics are a growing part of Japanese life with an aging population and lower birth rates. Robotics are being used to assist seniors with mobility in the workforce. And small villages are creating their own markets for projects like the production of local food and local fruit.
Whether manufacturing, food processing, or farming, Japan is getting ready for the future. The way to the future uses old technology in new ways and is also one that respects diversity at home and abroad.
The Japanese are preparing for the future. They are known for their innovations, design, and creativity.
They are also known for their politeness and collective spirit.
Millions of tourists come to Japan every year because of the culture and the attractions, from gaming and anime
to fashion and food. Japanese cuisine is ever popular, and sushi is very popular in Canada and the US.
But the California roll was actually created in Vancouver. Tokyo is a global leader of trends in pop culture and an incubator of fashion design and high-quality fabric mills.
And there is Harajuku, a center for colorful trends and animal cafes.
There is something for everyone in Japan.
Canada has long respected Japanese artists in the field of visual art,
Architecture,
craft,
film,
and design, and is proud to host exhibits of influential Japanese artists like the Vancouver Art Gallery exhibit of Takashi Murakami. It's the spirit of hospitality, or omotenashi, that has made Japan a desirable location for people from around the world to visit and to live.
Today, there is a renewed push to help workers from other countries who are living in Japan with language classes. In Canada, there are programs to assist Canadians who are interested in Japanese language and culture. For an aging population, there are now ways to assist the elderly to engage in meaningful work.
And there are real plans to support women in business. The Japanese are known for working very long hours, and a new attitude towards work-life balance is emerging, where a healthy lifestyle is at the center of a healthy life. And because we are all connected, Japan and Canada will need to work together to help us all make a better world.
Both Japan and Canada face a common future of working together.
And in a world without borders, we imagine peace and friendship every time an Olympic torch is lit.
In 2020, the Summer Olympic Games will be held right here in Tokyo, with an eye to the future.
And a celebration of the unity in diversity.
ぜひ皆さんも日本に来てください。見てくれてありがとうございます。
私たちはみんなつながっている。オリンピックで会いましょう。